All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're tackling Genesis chapter 11. Now, this is a huge one. It's a story all about ambition, what happens when humanity tries to build this incredible monument to itself. We're going to see how that grand plan led to everyone being scattered, but also how, out of all that chaos, one single family line gets picked to start a whole new story.
I mean, it's a great question, right? One that people have been asking forever. And believe it or not, this ancient text gives us a pretty dramatic answer. It all kicks off with one gigantic construction project.
Okay, so let's get the scene set. Picture this, a world that's only a few generations past the Great Flood. And for this one brief moment in time, everyone is completely united. So the text tells us that everyone on the whole planet spoke the same language. Now, this wasn't just, convenient for travel. It meant there was this incredible unity, a shared culture, and the power to work together on a massive scale. And boy, did they decide to put that power to the test. And this part is really key. What was their motivation? It wasn't just about building something cool or impressive. No, it was about making a name for themselves, right? Gaining some real significance. And, maybe most importantly, they wanted to fight against the idea of being scattered all over the world. And they used the most advanced tech they had, stuff like kiln-fired bricks and bitumen from mortar. I mean, this was cutting-edge stuff. And they used it to build a tower that they hoped would stretch all the way up to heaven. So you see, this wasn't just about architecture. It was a monument to their own power, their own unity, and it was all fueled by this deep fear of being scattered and ultimately forgotten. But, as you can probably guess, this incredible show of human unity and ambition, well, it didn't go unnoticed. The story is about to take a really sharp turn, and their massive project comes to a sudden and very chaotic end. And here's the central irony of the whole story, right? The one thing they built this tower to stop from happening, being scattered, is exactly what happens. The monument they built to celebrate their unity ends up being the very thing that causes their division. Crazy. Yeah, and the biggest clue is right there in the name. The place gets called Babel because that's where their language was confused. So the name of the city itself becomes this permanent reminder of what happened, a symbol of confusion and total miscommunication for all time. And just like that, poof, the big story of a united humanity just shatters. Construction grinds to a halt and people scatter everywhere. It's like the camera, which was on this wide shot of everybody, suddenly starts to zoom way in, getting ready to follow one single thread out of this big tangled mess.
Okay, so this next part, it can look like just a long, kind of boring list of names. But trust me, it's actually one of the most important parts of the whole story. Think of it like a bridge. It's the bridge that connects the scattered world of Babel to the future story of a single chosen people.
You can feel the focus of the story just narrowed down dramatically here. We race through the generations, tracing this one direct line, all the way from Noah's son Shem down to this one guy named Abram. The story is literally shifting from the history of the world to the history of one specific family, and that family is about to take center stage.
And get this, it's just 10 generations. In only a few verses, the text covers centuries to make that connection. From the world right after the flood, directly to Abram, the man we'll later know as Abraham. So yeah, this list of names is anything but filler. It's the essential thread that ties the big, universal story of humanity to the very specific story that's about to unfold. So, with that family tree firmly in place, the end of the chapter totally changes gears. It goes from this static list of names, so-and-so had so-and-so, into a dynamic story about a family on the move. All right, so let's meet the main players. You've got the dad, Terah, and his sons. But did you catch that last detail? Abram's wife, Sarai, had no children. That is not just a random fact thrown in there. It's a huge piece of information, a little seed of tension that's being planted right now that is going to drive the story for chapters and chapters.
And with that, the journey begins. Terah, the patriarch, leads the family out of their home in Ur, which was a major city back then, and they have a very specific destination in mind, the land of Canaan. This is it. This is the first physical step away from that scattered world and towards some kind of promised future.
But they don't actually make it. The chapter leaves us on a bit of a cliffhanger. They only get part of the way, stopping in a place called Haran. And it's there that the patriarch, Terah, dies. So the whole journey is just paused. It leaves Abram right on the edge of his own story, kind of waiting for a new call to pick up where his father left.
So Genesis 1:11 really leaves us with this powerful contrast, doesn't it? You have one tower that leads to many languages, and from all those many peoples, one single family gets chosen. It kind of forces you to wonder, was the whole Babel story a tragedy about human pride? Or was it actually a necessary first step? You know, the chaotic birth of the incredibly diverse world of cultures we all live in today. It's a question that really continues to shape how we see ourselves and our own place in the grand story.